Welcome back to the Journey to Emotional Freedom. I'm Rachel Sloan, and today I want to talk about self-judgment and how we use it to drive ourselves to succeed. So I said something yesterday that I think needs to be followed up on. Yesterday I was talking about self-compassion and how important it is to cultivate self-compassion so that we're willing to take risks, that we aren't afraid of feeling shame if we make a mistake or fail. But it's really hard to develop self-compassion because it requires us to stop judging ourselves. And most of us have somewhere, whether we're conscious of it or not, a belief that our self-judgment is actually leading to self-improvement. We think that if we didn't hate the body we have now, we would never work out and get fitter. We think that if we didn't hate the amount of money in our bank account, we wouldn't strive to do better, to make more, to succeed. We think that we need to judge ourselves for where we are now if we ever want to improve and get further and achieve our dreams. As long as this belief is there, it's going to be very hard, almost impossible, for you to clear up your self-judging thoughts. There is an excellent interview that the author Jack Kornfield did with some Tibetan Llamas. They were talking about all of the problems in the world, the wars, the hunger, the cruelty, the misunderstandings. But the Llamas were very relaxed and they were laughing. And somebody asked them, how can you be so light? How can you be so cheerful when the world is in so much pain? And one of the Llamas replied by saying that change cannot come out of hate and change cannot come out of suffering. That true change comes from a place of love, comes from the ability to laugh and be curious and open and joyful. Just love that example because it applies to so many aspects of our lives. But in this case, when we're judging ourselves, it's also true when we're using that self-judgment as a motivator, we have it all backwards. We're afraid that if we love the way we look now, we'll never change. We're afraid if we love what's in our bank account now, we'll never strive for more. But actually the opposite is true. It's when we're hating those things that we can't move forward. Imagine when you hate something about your body, when you hate the way you look. What do you do? How do you feel when you think that way? It doesn't feel good. It might feel sad, it might feel discouraging, it might make you feel overwhelmed. And what do? Do you go out and enjoy exercising? You might go to the gym out of spite. But what is the result you end up getting? A lot of us, we do work out, but we also feel bad and we end up drinking too much or watching too much TV or staying up too late or binging on brownies. Because we have this uncomfortable, unhappy, unpleasant emotion caused by the fact that we're thinking these horrible thoughts about ourselves, and they come out in these like buffering behaviors where we try to do things to make us feel better, to escape from that suffering. And often those buffering activities are counterproductive to our physical goals. It's the same with money, with the money in our bank accounts. When you hate the amount of money you're making, when you don't think your paycheck is enough, how do you behave with money? It's so interesting because when you talk to people about this, it's very, very common that when people are thinking this way about money, they tend to overspend. They have a hard time saving. And this might seem counterintuitive, but if you look around or look at your own life, I bet you'll find examples of it because you are hating the very thing that you want. And that creates a disconnect and it creates a tension. The key to letting go of self-judgment, to building true self-compassion, and to really going after the life you want, going for your dreams, is to start by embracing where you are and what you have now. And perhaps the biggest argument for why motivating yourself from a place of loving where you're at instead of hating where you're at is simply that it gives you so much more energy. You have so much more lightness, so much more energy when you feel happy, when you feel loving, when you are embracing what you have and who you are. When you love your body, you are more likely to move it in ways that feel good to you. You're not exercising because you have to lose weight or you have to build a certain muscle. You're exercising because it feels good to move, and it's so much more motivating than forcing yourself to go to the gym in the morning. When you love your paycheck, when you love the amount of money that comes in, it's so much more inspiring to go to work. You're so much more energized to do more, to get creative, because you're not in that dark, heavy, overwhelmed, this isn't enough place. From that place of joy, from that place of loving the abundance you already have, you get the energy, the lightness, the motivation to go for it, to do more, to build more. And you'll find, I think this is where a lot of that law of attraction work comes in, is that when you're loving what you already have, when you're loving the money you already have, when you're loving the body you already have, you start thinking in ways that lead you to act to bring more of those things into your life. It's not like you're magically attracting it to you from the universe. It's just that when you're thinking loving, abundant thoughts, you're feeling light and energized and happy. And when you're feeling light and energized and happy, you are more likely to behave in ways that are going to make you more successful in all areas of your life, going to help you make more money, going to help you get healthier, because you're acting from this like light, beautiful, energized place where it's so easy, it becomes so easy for you to do more work, to take on a new hobby, to go to a dance class, whatever it is becomes fun and easy instead of hard and tedious and stressful. And I think that is where this law of attraction really starts to work, is you create this ease in yourself by loving what you already have, making it pleasurable and fun to go for more of it instead of a chore, instead of something painful. And so then when you start acting in those ways, you start creating those results for yourself. You start creating a life where more money comes in more easily. You start creating a life where you get physically healthier and stronger. You start creating the relationships you want through your behaviors. So often we are trying to motivate ourselves to change our behaviors with hurtful, judgmental, painful thoughts about ourselves. When you're using self-judgment as a motivating strategy, it's typically to get away from something unpleasant. It's typically to move away from being too fat. It's typically to move away from ending up homeless on the streets. Like whatever you're trying to motivate yourself to do, make more money, lose more weight, be a better partner, whatever it is you're trying to motivate yourself to do, when you're judging yourself to get there, you are typically trying to move away from a negative outcome that you don't want. So my tool for you today is actually a challenge. I want you to pick one area of your life where you motivate yourself this way, where you use self-judgment to make yourself do something because you're not where you want to be yet. And my challenge to you is, can you find a positive motivation instead? Could you motivate yourself by moving towards a goal instead of away from an unwanted outcome? I want you to pick a positive motivation, and then I want you to do a little visualization. I want you to sit for a moment and imagine if you were motivated towards your goal instead of away from a negative outcome, how would that feel? What would you see in your mind when you were motivating yourself? What image would be there? What words would you say to yourself to motivate you to do it? How would you feel in your body? What emotions would go along with it? Really let yourself see it, feel it, hear it all. What do you see? What do you hear on the inside? What do you feel when you're motivating yourself towards a goal instead of away from it? And I just want you to try that and see how it feels. Because I'm going to bet you that it feels a lot more energizing than your motivation away from the negative outcome that you don't want. So give it a try, and whenever you notice yourself motivating by self-judgment, by getting away from something you don't want, take a moment to pause and ask yourself, Can I find a positive outcome I want? Can that be the driving force here instead of this self-judgment about something I don't have yet or haven't done yet? I'd like to leave you today with one of my favorite quotes from Jack Kornfield, since he and his work came up for us today. Jack wrote, "Don't be too loyal to your own suffering or to the suffering of the world. Instead, try being loyal to love." I would encourage you to try that this week. Don't be too loyal to your own suffering. Don't be too loyal to your own self-judgment. Find a little levity, find a little laughter, find a little positive motivation towards a goal instead of away from something painful. I would love to hear how this works for you in the comments. Please feel free to share what you've been using self-judgment to motivate yourself towards and how you might motivate yourself in a more positive way. I can't wait to hear what you're working on, and I will see you tomorrow.